Unfortunately, I am not. But, Senator, it does seem so silly that we go back and forth. Oh, you call it a wall, I call it a fence, you call it security funding, we call it wall funding. Too much closer than it would appear, right?
Well, absolutely. I think that the deal is there. It's just simply how are we going to define this, or what terms are we going to use? But as long as Democrats are willing to come to the table, Neil, and negotiate in good faith on an agreement that would include border security measures and funding, that not to exclude, but to include some sort of physical barrier, I think we can get to a deal. But they've been reluctant, at least so far, to engage in that kind of a discussion, and hopefully that's about to change.
All right. Well, I'm telling you, Senator, and I've talked to a good number of Democrats, they don't like the word wall, so just come up with any other word but wall. And, you know, they also have a problem with the $5.7 billion that the president wants. So on the stuff that you can control, like the $5.7 billion, would you say, and would the president say, that is a drop-dead, unbreakable figure?
Well, ultimately, it's what the president will sign into law. But I
think he would sign something with less than $5.7 billion for a wall?
I can't speak for him. He's been very wedded to that $5.7 billion. Do
you think it would be a mistake for him to make or break this deal if he doesn't get the $5.7 billion?
Well, I think as long as he gets a significant commitment, this is my view speaking, not the president, because obviously the president, but if he could get a significant commitment, resource allocation to a physical barrier, fence, wall, whatever you want to call it, along with some of the other things that Democrats want, some technology, some additional manpower, and a deal that does do what we need to do to secure the border, I would hope he'd be open to accepting that, because to me at least, you know, there's some room to negotiate perhaps on the number, obviously on the definition of what constitutes a wall, but once we can sort of resolve those issues, we ought to be able to come together in a bipartisan deal and find something that the president would be willing to sign into law. I think that's the way out of this dilemma that we seem to be currently in.
You know what's interesting, Senator? A conference committee has little more than 16 days to settle these issues. Do you honestly think that it could?
You know, it's a short amount of time in congressional speak in terms of, you know, being able to get things done, but we all know what the issues are. We all know what the levers are. We know how much, you know, where they can be dialed, and so once these folks sit down at that table, Neil, and are sincerely, you know, willing to get a result or to get an outcome, I think it can happen, and I certainly hope that it does, because as you mentioned earlier, we don't want to go down that path. Nobody has an appetite for another shutdown. There are a lot of concerns about the president using the declaration of an emergency in order to accomplish this, although, you know, it's something ultimately he may be able to do. But the best way to do this is the old-fashioned way, negotiating it, legislating it, and all it requires on the part of the Democrats is them being willing to come to the table and negotiate in good faith. My impression has been all along that for them this is all about, you know, beating the president, and you know, they've developed now this question of the morality of a wall, not something that plagued them when they were building them under Clinton or building them under Obama, but now all of a sudden they have this newfound opposition to walls. But whether you want to call it a wall or a fence, physical barrier of some sort, let's get some resources allocated to defending America's border and stopping all the gang traffic, the drug trafficking, the human trafficking, the weapons trafficking, all those things that are a real problem down there.
So it can be a floor wax and a dessert topping, is what you're telling me. All right.
Of course, it's a win-win.
Absolutely. All right, Senator, thank you very, very much.
Thanks,
meanwhile, talking